All right, we're looking at finding the quadratic vertex. Finding the vertex in a quadratic equation. All right, first of all, a quadratic equation can be in two different forms. Quadratic equation could be in vertex form or it could be in standard form. Okay? Now, if it's in vertex form, it's going to look like this. Y equals, and you have in parentheses, x minus a number squared, and then plus a number. Or it could be f of x instead of y. It could be f of x used in function notation. But this h number and that k number, that's the numbers of the vertex. Okay, so like here's an example here. Y equals x minus 3 in parentheses squared, and then plus 2, where 3 and 2 are the coordinates of the vertex. But this has to be a minus. Okay, so if this is a plus, then that means this is x minus negative 3 is what this is, and so negative 3 would be my vertex x coordinate. Okay, now in standard form, it's written like this in descending order: ax squared plus bx plus c, or it could be f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Here's an example here. F of x is 2x squared plus 8x minus 1. This is standard form, and then finding the vertex on that's a little bit harder than what vertex form is. But anyway, let's look at vertex form. Okay, and here's this first one right here. F of x equals x minus 4 squared and then plus 2. All right, so right here this is x minus my k, so there's the x value of the vertex, and then this right here is the y value. Basically it's the opposite of this value for x, and it's that value for your y. So there's my vertex, real simple, 4, 2. Okay, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Here's the vertex of this parabola. So it's going to be going right here. Now, what we can also tell, in front of this, see there's no negative. This is a positive. So when I square this out, I'll have a positive x squared, which means this is concave up, which means here's my vertex. This is going to be a parabola that's going to be going up like this. So we could tell that just by vertex form, knowing the vertex and looking at the sign here, we know it's going to look like that. Okay. Now, here's another one, okay? All right, so it's x minus h right here. So there's my x value of the coordinate. There's my y value right there. This is my vertex. Okay? There's my vertex right there. Which means in the parabola here, at 3, negative 1, here's my vertex. Okay, now if I look in front, look here now. See how there's a negative in front of this? That means I'm going to have a negative x squared if I was to multiply this out. Okay, which means this is going concave down. Which means this is the vertex, and it's going to be a parabola going down, kind of like that. I didn't draw a very good one, but at least you understand what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, let's look at a few more of these. It's pretty simple. All right, here's an example right there. My vertex, or look, it's x plus 2, which means my x value is negative 2. And there's my y value, negative 2, 3. That's my vertex. Okay. Now, see how this is negative? That tells me it's concave down. So I can draw a little sketch of this. Negative 2, up 3. There's my vertex right there, and it's concave down, so it's going to look like this. Okay. A couple more examples. All right. There you go. The opposite. This is a negative 4 from x. It's got to be x minus this. So since it's a plus, that means it's a negative 4. And there's my y, negative 5. That's my vertex. Okay. And then see here in front, this looks like a positive 2, so it's concave up. So if I draw this, my vertex is negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. Right there's my vertex. And it's concave up, so it's going to look like this. Okay? All right. Here's one last one in vertex form. What's my vertex here? Can you tell? Let you look at it here, see if you can tell real quick. If you said -4, -6, you're right. That's my vertex. Look in front. Is it concave up or concave down? Look at it a minute. It's concave down because it's got a negative here in front. Okay? So, if I was to draw a little sketch of it then, -4, -6, there's my vertex right there, and it's concave down, so it's going to look like this. Okay? All right, good deal. Now, let's look at some in standard form. Here's a standard form one. Now, finding the vertex on it's a little bit harder, or not really hard, just takes a little bit more time. You have to do this right here. You have to find the axis of symmetry. Okay? The axis of symmetry is this right here. X equals -b over 2a. Okay? This right here is in the quadratic formula. If you remember the quadratic formula, which I had it wrote down right here. Here's the quadratic formula. Okay? And see I got -b over 2a right here at the beginning. Okay? That's what this is right here, -b over 2a. That's your axis of symmetry, which is the x value of your vertex. So if I do that in this problem, x equals -b over 2a. My b is -4. You see that? My a right there in front is 1. All right, so that means I got two negatives, which makes a positive 4. 2 times 1 is 2. And if I divide that, 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's the x value of my vertex. That's the axis of symmetry, if you remember. Oops. Okay. So I do -b over 2a, which is 4 over 2, which divides to get 2. That's the axis of symmetry. Now, what's the y value? Well, all I do is I take that 2 and plug it in. Now, if you need to, use a calculator. I've got one right here. I'll just punch it in there. I'm going to put my 2 in for x, so I'm not going to worry about that 1 right there. In parentheses, 2 squared minus 4 in parentheses. I got a 2 here again, and then plus 5. And what do I get there? I get a big old 1. There's my vertex. Okay? And if I graph this, 2, 1, there's my vertex. Now look in front. Here's my x squared. See, there's no negative, so it's positive. That means it's concave up. So this is going to be a graph that looks like this. Okay? We'll do a few more of these, all right? Here's another one. All right, so I'm going to do my axis of symmetry. You got to do the axis of symmetry, which is -b over 2a. Okay, that's what the axis of symmetry is. So in this one, I'm going to do -b over 2a. My b in this one is 6, and my a, oh, look here, is a -1. Okay, so I got -6 on top, and I've got -2 on the bottom, and if I divide those, I get 3. All right, so there's the x value of the vertex. The axis of symmetry is 3, which is the x value of the vertex. Now, I just put 3 in the equation. All right, now when you do this one, when you punch it in, you got a negative here in front. So you hit a negative, and then you do your parentheses, put your 3 in parentheses, okay, squared, plus 6, and then you put your 3 in parentheses again, then minus 3, and I get 6. The y value is 6, and there's my vertex. Okay, and if I graph that, here's my vertex right there, and see it's got a negative in front, which means it's concave down. So it's going to look like this right here. Okay. Here's another one. So axis of symmetry, x equals -b over 2a. My b in this one is 8, and my a is 1. Or a 2, I mean, this time. There's my a and there's my b. So this is a -8 on top. 2 times 2 is a 4 on the bottom. And when I divide that, I get -2. So there's my x value. That's the axis of symmetry. X equals -2. Now, I take -2 and put it in. All right, now when you do this one, okay, I've got a 2 here, and in parentheses, -2. All right, then square, and then plus 8, and in parentheses, -2 again, and then -1. What do I get? -9. That's my vertex. Okay, which means on this graph, -2, -9, right there's my vertex. And see in front here, it's positive, so it's concave up, which means it's going to do that. Okay, just a few more here. All right. All right, so I'm going to do x equals -b over 2a. My b is -8 this time, and my a is -2, which gives me a +8 on top, and it gives me a -4 on the bottom. And if I divide those, I get -2. There's my axis of symmetry right there. X equals -2, my axis of symmetry, which means my vertex has -2 for my x value. And then I just take that and plug it in. So when I plug it in, all right, we've got a -2 in front, and then for x parentheses, I'm going to put a -2 in a parentheses, then -8, I'm going to put a -2 in parentheses again, and then +5, and guess what? I didn't put my square. I'm going to go back. Let's insert my square here. Forgot that. It should be -2 squared. And then what I get there? 13. There's my vertex. So -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Here's 13 right there. There's my vertex. And then see the negative in front of the x squared? It's got to be in front of the x squared. That tells you it's concave down, which means it's going to look like this. Okay. Here's another one. X equals -b over 2a. My b is -6. My a is a 3. So I've got a +6, and that's a +6, which is a 1. Here's my vertex. Now I take 1 and I plug it in. All right, when I plug 1 in, I'm going to get -1. I did it in my head that time. That's my vertex. You plug your 1 in. Let me make sure. So I got 3, and then I got a 1 in parentheses, squared. Don't forget the squared. -6, and in parentheses, I got a 1 again, and then +2. And I was right, -1. Okay, that's my vertex, which means -1 would be right there. There's my vertex. And look here in front, x squared, it's positive, so it's going concave up. Okay. All right. Then we have one last one here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do x equals -b over 2a. My b right there is a 1. And my a over here is -2. All right, so I'm going to have -1 over -4. Okay, if I divide that, I get 0.25. That's my axis of symmetry, which means my vertex is going to be this. Oh, I mean, I should have drawn that because it may be a little bit longer, because I think it's going to be a decimal. So we put that in. All right, so when I put it in, all right, I've got -2, and then in parentheses, 0.25, parentheses, squared, plus, right there, 0.25, minus 1. And I get -0.875. And that's my vertex. Okay, which, if I draw that one, all right, so here's 1, so 0.25 would be right there. And here's -1, 0.875 would be right there. So here's my vertex right there. And look there, it's concave down. See the negative? So it's going to look something like this. Okay. So that's how you find the quadratic vertex. All right, so you try some of these problems, and if you need help, contact me, and I'll try to help you all I can. All right, so have a good rest of the day.